Hello guys, welcome to another session with me, Tom Harrop, founder of TJ Tutors, and today we're going to be working on how to continue the story. So this is something that often comes up in creative writing tasks across 11 plus exams and onwards. What I would like you to do, first of all, is have a little look at what story we're going to be going through. So this is a story called The Secret. The old oak door creaked as Emily pushed it open. She hesitated, heart thudding in her chest. Was this really the place? Shadows danced across the narrow corridor, flickering like extinguishing candle flames. What was she even searching for? She wasn't sure, but something had pulled her here, to this abandoned house that no one dared to speak of. Dusty beams of light sliced through the cracked windows, illuminating motes of dust that seemed frozen in time. Her breath rattled like a dying car engine. Then she saw it. A box. Small, wooden, tucked beneath a crumbling staircase. Almost hidden, but not quite. Its lid was slightly ajar, teasing her with the unknown. Emily swallowed hard. What could be inside? Secrets long buried? Memories forgotten? Or something else? Her fingers trembled as she reached out. Closer, closer. The floor creaked behind her. She froze. Someone, or something, was there. Dun dun dun. So continue the story. This is often a task we'll get. What do you think we need to do here, guys? So read it again, and I want you to really think about and put in the chat for me what you think you need to mention. Obviously, when we're continuing the story, we've got to stay in the same style. We've got to kind of mention some of the elements from the text itself. So I want you to think about just a couple of minutes, guys. What do we need to do here? What do we need to talk about and mention if we're going to have to continue this story? I'll give you just a couple of minutes to do that. Okay, right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work on the 5 W's. Okay, so thinking about questions that you've got is a really, really kind of important way of building up a response. It's called self-questioning. Okay, so it's thinking of questions that you can ask yourself about the task and then trying to answer them in your writing. Okay, so you can start with the 5 W's. So who have we got to talk about? Obviously, we're going to speak about a certain character. What is going on? When is it taking place? Where is it taking place? And why is she there? So again, I'll give you just a couple of minutes just to start jotting down some notes. Try and answer some of these questions. Try and think about some things that you could start to kind of develop and think about that you could build into a continuation task here. Okay, so just a few minutes on that, and then we'll move on. Okay, right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on getting a plan in place. Okay, so on a page, I'd just like you to create something like this. Try and create it not like this on the page in terms of it being so big. You want to try and make it quite small in the middle of the page. I'd suggest probably turning the page landscape and having it nice and kind of small in the middle. So you've got loads of room around each of those boxes to write some ideas. Okay, so I'll just give you just a minute or so to just get that on the page. Okay, cool. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a little look in this box of what happens. Okay, so I'm going to give you some potential scenarios just to make it a little bit easier for you today. So you can pick from one of these. And then what I want you to try and do, once you've picked one of these techniques, one of these scenarios, try and think of adjectives, try and think of the senses, try and think about like sense of smell, what you could hear. I mean, there's lots of different ones here you can pick. Just pick one of them. The thing is, what can happen when you're writing a continuation task is you can get a bit carried away. You can have all these kind of crazy things coming in. That will remove your ability to show, and you're going to be forced into telling a story because you've made it too complex. So just having one thing happen will enable you to show, not tell, because you're going to have more time and kind of it's not so big in your head, or you'll be able to kind of bring your ideas around just one thing. So, I mean, I've got a few here just to get you thinking here. So the box contains a key that leads her to another room. There's a ghostly figure that emerges from the shadows guarding the box. There's a map leading to a forgotten treasure. She hears a voice from the box asking her for help to break a curse. The floor beneath Emily collapses, sending her tumbling into an underground tunnel. Now, a couple of these you could probably do two of because it's just like one thing happening, like her falling into a tunnel. You could have something carrying on after that. But the key here is not to have too many things going on. Think about what happens. Try and get some similes to show how she feels. Try and get some show, not tell. Try and get some personification if you can. If you can talk, if you can create the box, having a voice. Try and think about maybe describing the room she's in, what you can see, smell, hear. You know, just try and get the senses in there. I'll give you a few minutes to write your ideas down about what happens, and hopefully this will just give you some kind of pointers to get started. Okay, right, so hopefully you've got a few ideas there. Now, the next thing we need is obviously our vocabulary. Okay, so you're going to need to have lots and lots of ideas branching out in the vocabulary section, okay, because this is the building blocks of your sentences. So I'm going to give you loads of words there, okay? There's absolutely loads there to think about. You can use some of your own as well, but just to get you thinking here. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Try and branch out as much as you can. Get as many words as you possibly can here. Okay, right, so the next thing we're going to do is, now we've got a vocabulary, now we've got what happens, we need to get some techniques. Okay, so I've got some simile examples here, I've got some metaphors, some personification examples. Again, anything you like, you can use. If it inspires you to write something different, even better. But I would like you to try to build out simile, metaphor, personification, try and get as much as you possibly can here just to kind of help you, okay? So just a couple of minutes. Anything you like, you can use. Again, if you want to try and change it, make it even better, be my guest, okay? But just try and get a few techniques now for a couple of minutes. Okay, right. Next thing we're going to do, in the same box, we're going to have the 5 senses. Now, again, I've given you loads of ideas here to get you thinking. Okay, so I'll give you a bit of time for this. I'll give you a minute of sense. Okay, take some of these. Try and get 2 to 3 ideas per sense. Again, use your own if you can, but if you are stuck, don't just not write anything. So you can use some of these. Okay, so you absolutely take these to inspire you to write something. Okay, so just a few minutes now. Again, in that same section, the technique section, thoughts. Sorry, not thoughts, experiences. That's going to be in a minute. Senses. Okay. Okay, cool. Right, now, as I said, thoughts and experience next. Okay, so you've got to show how the character is feeling. Obviously, she's going to be feeling a little bit scared from what we've read. Try and show how she's scared. Her teeth chattering, maybe her hands trembling, a chill runs down her spine. Maybe she raises her hands to her head and rubs her temples to show she's anxious. Maybe she's curious. Maybe she turns around slowly, her heart racing. So there's ways that you can show, not tell, how the character's feeling. You don't really want to say at any point she's scared, she's anxious, she's curious. Okay, you want to show these things. I've given you here as well in this corner some thoughts and feelings. Now, rhetorical questions, they're a really, really good way of showing a character's confusion, their anxiety, without saying that they're curious or they're confused or they're anxious. Okay, so try and include a few of these if you want to. Again, anything you like, you can use, but I want you to now have a go at thinking about some thoughts and experiences for our final section. Okay, so just a few minutes, again, try and write some ideas for what the character is going through, their experiences, their feelings, showing and not telling. Okay, cool. Right, so hopefully you've got a really kind of beefed out mind map now of all these different things. I'm going to give you now something that's going to be really, really useful for you to write with. Okay, so here are some sentence starters down at the bottom, but a paragraph plan that you can follow. Okay, so setting the scene. So the first part is going to be, it's going to be 3 stages in your first paragraph. Okay, so you're going to be describing the scene in general, mention how she's feeling, focusing on something in the room. It could be the voice, or it could be, whatever it is behind her, the creaking. Zoom in on one part of the room, make it kind of like sort of orientate your reader in that first paragraph. So kind of get them kind of settled. Bring in the problem, bring in that event in your second paragraph. Think about getting lots of description, show not tell, lots of the 5 senses in there. Paragraph 3, how does it end? Okay, does it get resolved? Does it end on a cliffhanger? Does it end sadly? Remember the whole time to include all the techniques you've got. Okay, you've got lovely mind maps now of lots of ideas on the page. You should be able to write something pretty decent now because you've got a few ideas. Okay, so hopefully that's been useful today. Hopefully you got a few ideas there. Learning how to continue the story is a really, really important skill to be able to kind of demonstrate. So try and make sure that you're doing that, and you can do that at home as well when you're reading your books. If you finish a chapter, why not before you read the next chapter, try and continue what happens. It's a good way of kind of building your prediction and inference skills to fully comprehend the text. But hopefully that's been fun for everyone. I've been Tom Harrop, founder of TJ Tutors. Hope you've enjoyed that. Don't forget to like and subscribe the videos if you like these, and there'll be another one next week at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Thanks for joining.